Distinguished panelists, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Parliamentarians for Nuclear Non-Proliferation and Disarmament, Youth Fusion, and the World Future Council for organizing this important event, which recognizes the critical but undervalued role women play in nuclear disarmament. I am particularly pleased to see that it takes an intersectional approach which allows us to fully understand the range of experiences women have in this field. Despite some recent promising developments, such as the entry into force of a treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons and the extension of the New START treaty, current nuclear dangers remain a grave concern. Relationships between some nuclear weapon states continue their downward trajectory, weighed down by mistrust and the absence of transparency and meaningful dialogue. Nuclear modernization programs are underway in all nuclear-armed states, contributing to what has been termed a qualitative nuclear arms race. New risks have been exposed at the intersection between emerging technology, nuclear weapons, and potential new domains of conflict. Today's dialogue is, therefore, a reminder of the utmost importance of including women in nuclear disarmament, in activism, in policy, and decision-making. It is essential if we are to take the much-needed steps on the path towards our shared goal of a world free of nuclear weapons. As Secretary General Guterres has said, the meaningful inclusion of women in decision-making increases effectiveness and productivity, brings new perspectives and solutions to the table, unlocks greater resources, and strengthens efforts across our work. It is proven fact that the active involvement of women in peace processes produces better outcome for all involved. Let us use this opportunity today to pay due respect to the giants on whose shoulders we stand, while sharing the torch with a new generation of peacebuilders, the young women who will be the officials, diplomats, civil society activists, academics, and nuclear scientists, and of course, leaders of the future. We certainly owe much to our predecessors. Women have always led the charge against those diabolical weapons, from the members of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, one of the original campaigners for nuclear disarmament, to the mothers who protested the danger of nuclear testing, from Randell Forsberg, the leader of the Nuclear Freeze movement, to the many Hibakusha women who endured social stigma, yet bravely came forward with their testimonies. And more recently, to the Nobel Peace Prize winners, Alva Myrdal, and the leaders of ICAN. Yet, despite the tireless efforts of many, women remain painfully underrepresented in United Nations disarmament processes, including as members of national delegations, let alone as heads of those delegations. The first committee of the General Assembly has had only a single female chair in 75 years. Still today, only 1/3 of the participants in these gatherings are likely to be women, and women typically deliver only 1/4 of the statements. This is unacceptable, not only because of the vital contribution women can make to the cause of nuclear disarmament, but also because it ignores the fact that any use of nuclear weapons would have an inherently gendered impact, biologically, economically, and socially. Recent studies have shown that women are biologically more vulnerable to harmful health effects of ionizing radiation than men, based on the experiences of the Hibakusha and nuclear test survivors. Women are also often the ones most affected by psychological health issues, displacement, social stigma, and discrimination. There are some glimmers of hope that the tide is turning. The TPNW, which entered into force on 22nd of January this year, explicitly recognizes both the gendered impacts of nuclear weapons and the need for equal, full, and effective participation of both men and women. But it also goes further, taking a gendered lens to the sensitive issue of assistance to the victims of the use and testing of nuclear weapons. Gender has also become an increasing focus during the current review cycle of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. In addition to the support of many states parties for recognition of gendered impacts and for equal participation, there is growing support among some for the need for a gender focus to examine all aspects of nuclear policy, both related to weapons and peaceful uses. I remain hopeful that the 10th NPT Review Conference, when it is held, will, at a minimum, have a robust dialogue on gender-related issues and include these issues in any final outcome. For our part, the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs, UNODA, is working to mainstream gender and raise awareness. Our recently released strategic plan commits UNODA to strengthening the interlinkages between disarmament, arms control, and non-proliferation, and efforts to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment through a gender-responsive approach to peace and security. We work to ensure that bodies such as groups of governmental experts or fellowships have gender parity. And we seek to expand understanding about the importance of gender responsiveness through events such as this one, but also the webinar we will be holding early next month on integrating gender perspectives into the NPT review process. We're also working to expand our inclusivity efforts to other underrepresented groups as well, including by committing to improving the accessibility of disarmament fora for those with disabilities and promoting and protecting space for civil society. The Secretary General in his disarmament agenda has referred to youth as the ultimate force for change. In recognizing this, our new outreach initiative, #YouthForDisarmament, engages, educates, and empowers young people by offering resources like training programs such as the UN Youth Champions for Disarmament and a dedicated digital platform, youthfordisarmament.org. As part of the largest generation in history, today's young people hold tremendous power and responsibility, and a world free of nuclear weapons cannot be achieved without their participation. We have made progress, but there is still a long way to go for true gender equality and diversity in disarmament. My office will therefore continue to implement gender-responsive approaches and to create an inclusive environment where all voices are respected and heard. We all stand to benefit from a field that embraces fresh ideas and perspectives and values the role that women of all generations play. I thank you very much for your attention.